Welcome to game day on Mississippi State University campus. And Steve, the electricity's back. It seems like a big deal's about to happen here, judging by the crowd out at the junction. People already making their way into the stands, the electricity in the air. I think there's a big game about to be played on this field.
And David, you're right. It does feel like a big game atmosphere. These fans have shown up. We knew they would. This is a game that the Bulldog fans have had circled for months. You know, David, it's one of those deals where the resentment is palpable. You know, there's good, bad, or indifferent or justified. These Bulldog fans want to see their team win tonight and kind of stick it to the old coach. But the bottom line, David, it's not about the coach. It's about the players on the field, and it's about our coach now, who is Joe Moorhead.
Well, as I said on pregame radio, Dan Mullen and Todd Grantham are not on the field. We wish they were, because I think they both lost a step. Dan's built more for distance than speed with his marathon skills, but that's not the fact. And frankly, as you and I discussed yesterday, if the Bulldog players are paying any attention at all to who's on the other sideline wearing a visor, that means they've lost focus on what matters, which is the opponent lined up across from them.
That's true, David, and that's a good point. You know, I don't know that last week was the best representation of what Mississippi State wants to have in a football program. And listen, we've all documented all that. We all know Kentucky got under the Bulldog skin. They can deny it, whether they were looking ahead or thinking about this one. The bottom line is this one's here now. Florida will test the Bulldog psyche. You know as well as I do. They'll try to get State to get a little hot-headed and try to get them to respond. That's going to be the challenge early on, is to control their emotions and get this crowd into the ball game, and they can do that with a couple of big plays.
And certainly they have to avoid the big plays. But the main thing I've looked at, Steve, they have to avoid. Florida leads the nation in turnover margin. Mississippi State has yet to recover a fumble. They cannot give this game away because Florida will thrive on cheap points. The other things that jumped out to me, we've talked already about how State is one of the SEC's better rushing teams. Despite what you saw last week, Florida struggles to defend the run. But the stat that jumped out to me most, the Bulldogs are among the better teams at converting third downs and defending third downs. Florida is not a good third down offense. How could this be a factor today, especially if the Bulldogs can establish that ground game?
I think what time of possession is going to be a bigger ball game than normal, because I don't think this is a big play game, David. And conversely, the Florida defense is allowing 43% third down conversion. That's not the third and Grantham that we know. And there's some personnel issues, but listen, Todd Grantham's kind of been a quick fix guy in his career. That is something hopefully the Bulldogs can exploit, because I think the team that wins on third down is ultimately going to win the ball game.
I was about to ask you that. I said if turnovers and having makeable third downs is key, with the other key being, you said you don't expect many big plays, nor do I at this point. Whoever can hit a long ball. And here's where my main concern of the day is the Bulldogs have yet to show they can really connect on the long passes, regardless who's throwing and who's catching. You know Florida is going to stack against the run and force State to try those one-on-one matchups. How can the Bulldogs make it happen?
Well, David, I think you've got to have some controlled shots. You've got to have measured opportunities. You've got to move the pocket some. You've got to give Florida some looks. You've got to high-low them some and then get them to start biting underneath and set some things up and then hit something over the top. I don't know that you can come out and just throw caution to the wind and just start throwing the Hail Mary right out of the gate. That works in video games. It doesn't work in real life. And especially with this Florida defense, they're going to want to do anything to get this crowd out of the ball game. So State needs to do something electrifying in a positive manner rather than just throwing caution to the wind.
You know, Dan Mullen didn't mind winning games ugly. Joe Moorhead says the same thing. As long as he gets one more point. But you get the feeling Joe Moorhead would still prefer a more electric game. Can the Bulldogs offensively force their will on Florida's defense?
I think they can, but all that's going to start with up front, David. The tackles, the Bulldog tackles have to play better. I think last weekend the interior linemen could have had a better ball game, but we kind of know what we have there. It's kind of a proven commodity. State's got to be able to pass protect, but they've got to be able to get behind that interior offensive line and really get a push and establish. I think Harris Williams is a guy that's very important, because I think he can get some hard yards between the tackles and kind of loosen things up. I think it's very, very important that State have a measured attack in that respect, because I think the longer that State gets them on their heels, those big shots will come as long as you can run the football. It all starts with being able to establish an inside run game.
And on top of that, the Bulldogs are going to have to throw some passes to make it work and stretch things out, if not vertically, certainly side to side. And one way to do that is the tight end pass. If you'll remember at Kansas State, first play, State comes out, flips the ball to Justin Johnson. Last week, second down, they flipped the ball to the tight end as well. Now it went backwards on a penalty, but still you've seen that Joe Moorhead will throw the ball early.
That's true. And David, the very first play of the Joe Moorhead era, you catch him in a blitz, you throw a little swing pass. That was absent last week, and that's one thing going back and watching that ball game. State could have run some traps underneath, to throw some swing passes out on the perimeter, out in the flats. That didn't happen. I expect to see more of that, but I also think we're going to see a whole lot more of Nick Fitzgerald outside the pocket with the run-pass option because, quite frankly, this offense is going to go as far as Nick Fitzgerald's going to take them.
And quickly, Steve, what can you tell us about recruiting visitors today?
Yeah, it's a smorgasbord. I mean, State's got pretty much everybody here. They wanted to be here. There's still some people on their way and arriving, but the Bulldogs have the state to themselves. It's an unbelievable atmosphere. The Bulldogs have rolled out the big maroon carpet for some of the state's best prospects for this year and next. We've got official visitors on campus, and we've got a lot of people here that are excited about this Mississippi State Bulldog program. They want to leave here with a win, feeling good about life.
Which is what we all want at this point because the Bulldogs need to get that good feeling back by winning, evening their SEC record, and get some momentum going into next week's game with Auburn. And, of course, sometime tonight we will know the exact game time and network of that after today's games are played. So, for here in pregame from Scott Field, for Steve Robertson and our staff at Gene's Page 24/7, this is David Murray.